Hey guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. Having a little technical difficulties. Rob is filling in for Eli as today is Eli's 18th birthday. So happy birthday, my friend. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Rob's going to be joining us in a couple of minutes. But of course, we always start off with our monologue, which this week is and every week is sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York. So, welcome back, everybody. We had a good week. A lot of stuff to talk about, and let's jump into the monologue. And the monologue this week, as we know, the college football season starting to wind down, and a couple of big games, which is going to dictate the new 12-team college football playoff. And the early rankings came out, right? No surprises as the top four teams with Oregon, number one in the country, Ohio State, Georgia, and Miami. And I got to be honest, I think Miami to me is a surprise. I didn't realize that Cam Ward was as good as he is or has turned out to be. So that's impressive to have Miami back in the mix after being out of it for quite a while. Um, So we're gonna see how these games play out. We got some big games today, which is going to probably affect the second rankings to come out. Um, Big games today. Georgia, Ole Miss. Ole Miss, 16th in the country, but a lot of people have been down. A couple of our listeners are a little down and not thinking that Carson Beck is a good quarterback. I think he is. Is that? There you are, Rob.
What's up, Jim?
How are you? Welcome back, my friend.
I had nothing set up here, so I'm like, I haven't been live in a long time, so I'm still getting everything set up. I have a new
Okay.
space in the garage. You can come visit me one day. We can do out my studio in my garage. But I'm ready now. Here we go.
Okay, great. So I was just going over the college football playoffs picture, and there's some big games today, which are going to dictate. Like I said, that we're in this new 12-team format. So I think two of the games today, the big games, and as you notice when I mentioned the first four teams, Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, and Miami, kind of unusual not to have Alabama in that conversation, and they're playing LSU today, so that's a big game. Either one of those, the loser of today's game will not be in the college football playoffs, and that's very unusual. The missing piece obviously is most likely Nick Saban. Not to DeBoer's doing a decent job, but not the season that you would expect from Alabama. Um, so that's a big game. Like I said, Georgia, Ole Miss, Penn State. They had a tough game last week with Ohio State, but they got Washington today. I think they can handle that. And one of the games that I'm kind of interested in watching because I'm kind of excited that Army is 8-0 so far, and they're playing North Texas State today. Um, Nice to have one of the military academies in the conversation here, especially being that it's Veterans Day, and I wanted to bring that up too. First and foremost, that to all of our service members, and it's Veterans Day, and they deserve to be honored. And um, like I said, if you run into a serviceman, uh, shake his hand, say thank you. It would be highly appropriate. Okay.
No, Jim, I have a weird scenario. Why do I get a feeling that Notre Dame, all they're going through, they're going to lose to Florida State today?
I
Florida
don't
State
know.
is the worst team in college football since the beginning of the season. I just have a strange feeling the way the season is going, the ebb and the flows, that they're going to lose today and ruin everything.
I don't know. I don't see that happening.
I hate to say that, but it's just.
I know you Notre Dame roots, and I get it, but I don't see that happening. Not this time. No, I don't think so.
I sure hope not.
I think, yeah, let's hope not. But like I said, I'm still kind of pulling for Army as one of my kind of sleeper teams, and it's boring football to be quite honest with you. If you've been to an Army game up at West Point, all they do is run the ball. It's kind of boring, but 8-0 is 8-0, and hopefully they'll be 9-0 today.
Hey, big game in 2 weeks, baby. Notre
Talk
Dame
to
at
me.
Army.
Notre Dame is actually playing at Army?
They're playing Yankee Stadium.
Oh, Yankee Stadium. Oh, yes, that's right.
It was
Yeah.
a weird year where the Notre Dame played Navy and Army here in New York City. It's just very bizarre, but it's there.
Yeah. What do they call that? Like the Armed Forces Bowl or something? Or
They have a name for Navy, but Army they haven't played in a while, so I'm not sure if it's
oh,
what
okay.
they call that exactly.
Yeah. But I'm very excited. I love this time of year in college football. And you know what, Rob? I was initially kind of opposed to a 12-team playoff. I could have been more comfortable with like an 8-team because you're going to get a couple of teams that maybe, don't really stand a chance, being ranked 10, 11, or 12. But you know what? It's all right. It's good for college football. It extends the season a little bit, and I've grown accustomed to it, and I'm not in such a bad way with that thought process.
Well,
But anyway,
they're guaranteeing a group of 5 schools to be in there, right? So at least those schools have something to play for. And hey,
Yep.
Army's right there. Army's right there. Potential to be in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, in 2 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, looking forward to that. This is a good time of year. I mean, we're going to get into a little bit of high school football. I know you and Eli's beloved St. Mary's took a shellacking last night.
I was there. I live streamed the game last night.
And now you
ironically, the best player on their team, BJ Cunningham, blocked an extra point. Right? If he didn't block the extra point, they would have tied the record for most points given up in a quarter in high school football in New Jersey.
Wow. Yeah, they gave
42. Up. We gave up 41. So.
No, I think they gave up 61 last night. Wasn't it 61 to something?
But it was 41-0 in the first quarter.
Oh,
first quarter.
Whoa.
2 touchdowns in the first 23 seconds.
Yeah. Well, we might as well stick with it. So today is playoff Saturday in northern New Jersey, and my St. Joe's team is taking on St. Peter's in the opening round of the Group A non-public.
Oh boy!
Right, but we kind of own St. Peter's, but we're coming off another loss at the end of the season to DePaul, which was kind of a surprise. But Rob, I've said all along that Bergen Catholic is the undisputed number 1 team in New Jersey. And until somebody knocks them off, we gave them kind of a decent game. We only lost them 28-17 a couple of weeks ago, but we could end up meeting them or Don Bosco. But until somebody knocks Bergen Catholic off, you got to give them their due, for sure. So that game's today at 1:00 at St. Joe's.
I would think, Jim, he's due for a job somewhere in college football, like his brother, right? I mean, if he wins this year, Vito's got to be going somewhere else. What else does he have to accomplish in New Jersey?
Yeah, that's a good conversation, because I've had that conversation with other folks that both Nunzio Campanelli, Vito's brother, former head coach at Bergen Catholic, went on, and he was under Greg Schiano's staff at Rutgers. He's now at Syracuse. And Augie was there. Augie Hoffman, the coach of St. Joe's, is now back at St. Joe's. So there is a lore, and a lore about high school football in New Jersey. And you're right, though. You always look to take that next step and move up to maybe to the college rankings. But, the love these guys have for these schools. And Vito's son is the quarterback at Bergen Catholic right now. So, you're right. We're going to have to wait and see. But, yeah, if they go and end up number 1 for the second consecutive year, then that's something that we got to keep an eye out for sure.
And also, isn't the youngest brother at Westwood? Oh, no, youngest brother's at Seton Hall Prep, right? Is there another brother somewhere else?
I mean, listen, I go back to, I think I played when his father was the head coach at Paramus Catholic, the father. That was many, many moons ago, obviously, but it certainly is a football family, no doubt about it.
Got a couple of comments here. Is your sponsor there?
Hey, good morning, Guy. Yep.
And then we have this.
What do we have? What's the person next to
Sports
you?
Talk with JR.
Oh, this is my producer Rob, who's helped us get off the ground when Eli joined the show and did all the production work, and he's quite a sports guru himself. Does a lot of broadcasting, and so Sports Talk with JR. Thanks for joining the show. Appreciate that. And Eli mentioned, and you may know him, Kurt Valenti does a high school sports show too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he made some comments for our show last week too. That was great. Appreciate that very much.
On Surge Sports as well. He's been on with me a long time.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's a plug for Rob. His Surge Sports has, I know that's a growing entity, which is I'm happy for your successes on that front too. So, all right, let's move on to the big boys, the National Football League. And again, we'll start off with week after week.
Jim, hold on 1 second before we start. I hate to interrupt you, but I know you're a morning person. Are you getting up early tomorrow to watch the two worst teams in football play?
Listen, I'm a guy who goes down with the ship, and yes, I will be up to watch the game tomorrow with the Giants and the Panthers. Yeah, maybe the ugliest, most unappealing game of the season.
Football. They shipped to Germany to play.
But I will be up and I will watch it, of course. Yes, I go down with the ship.
I'm watching too. I look at it as 16 hours of football tomorrow. So
yeah. I usually get my fill. I need to watch the Jets and I need to watch the Giants. Just here's an interesting thing though. The Jets are terrible, and this is all going according to how I thought it was going to go. They're favorites on the road against Arizona. I'm not saying Arizona is a great football team, but what right do the Jets have to be a favorite anywhere? They're 3-7. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Here's funny, Jim. Here's funny with the Jets. The Jets were bad, right? They've always been bad. They got cursed by Aaron Rodgers. They got fleeced by Aaron Rodgers, who was not a shell of himself for $50 million.
Yep.
And now their CEO might go back to England because Trump won again.
Oh, he's going to go be the ambassador to Great Britain again?
Something like that.
Yeah, well, that franchise is just, you could use the term cursed or whatever you want to say. But when I talked about this and the Aaron Rodgers thing, yeah, okay, we obviously have to write last year's off with the Achilles. But, they came back and everybody said, the Jets are going to be good. The Jets are going to win the AFC East because they have a great defense. Well, this defense hasn't been stopping anybody. So I don't know where this comes from. And everybody says the great Jets defense because they're getting run over. So, I mean, it's not all on Aaron Rodgers, although him being the head coach, the owner, the general manager, it does fall on his shoulders, and I'm not letting him off the hook, not one bit. But then on the other hand, look what we else got. We got Kansas City, and I know people are saying, well, they don't blow anybody out, but they're still undefeated. And number 15 is number 15. You can't deny that this guy is a winner, and they find a way to win. They got a great coach in Andy Reid. They get injuries, and they go right out and fill that void. They're going to be a tough team to beat. And now on the other side of the coin, right? What a great game the other night with Cincinnati and Baltimore. And we see the refs always making, always factor into this game with all of these penalties that they've been calling. And then on the final 2-point play, they missed not one, but 2 calls that should have given the Bengals another opportunity. Right? The complete, pass interference and holding on Gesicki in the end zone, and then the blow to the face on Burrow. How do they miss that? How do they miss that? Drives me nuts that the refs have an input into the outcome of these football games, and it drives me crazy. It really does.
For you? There you go, Jim.
All right. Let's see. What's your thought on the way here? The Jags have been playing. They've had 5-1-4 games. Um,
I think it
they've
means
been
one
close,
score
but
games.
just can't seem to finish. Well,
I think it means one score games.
yeah, JR, I have slowly lost confidence that Trevor Lawrence is going to be one of those elite guys that we thought he was when he was coming out. And he's
I didn't
not.
think that. I never thought that.
I thought he was going to be a decent quarterback, and he's making quarterback money, which is, we know the market now. It's 40 million plus. If Daniel Jones can make it, then Trevor Lawrence has got to make it too. So I just don't think they're going to go anywhere with them. But he wins some games, I guess. I don't know, but I don't know if he's even healthy. I don't know if he's healthy. Maybe that's the problem. A couple other little things from the NFL. Obviously, the New Orleans Saints fired Dennis Allen this week. So, the expectations for the Saints were high with Derek Carr. I've never been a Derek Carr guy, so I'm not surprised one bit. And then they go and trade Marcus Latimer to the Commanders, which is probably right. Would you agree, Rob? One of the surprise teams of the season and the performance. Yeah, I mean, Jaden Daniels has really shown me. I didn't expect him to have this kind of impact right away. And, the whole thing, it's so funny because I remember last time you were on the show guest hosting, we talked extensively about this Dan Snyder and, what kind of just a crumb he was. So the whole dynamic of that franchise has changed when the league forced him to sell the team. And I'm not a Redskins guy. I'm a Giants guy. But I'm happy to see that a franchise for the long-suffering fan at least to start getting their money's worth. And they got probably, no question, the rookie of the year, early favorite for that. He just shows a lot of confidence.
They were saying last week was the NFL trade deadline. They were saying players were telling their agents, "I want to go to Washington." When's the last time you heard that?
I know. That's what's so crazy about this dynamic that, and obviously the Hail Mary is a Hail Mary, but that's just kind of indicative of the season that they're having. And I'm kind of happy for Jaden Daniels. I like the kid. He's well spoken. He's kind of humble, and I think it's great for football. I really do. And I know I have one of my loyal listeners is a big time Washington's Commanders. It's tough not to say Redskins, but he's a big Commanders guy, and these guys they're delighted. But no blockbuster trades like we had anticipated that could have happened. And now you have the question for the Giants, right? Rob, about 6 weeks ago, I had to do a monologue, and it was about Daniel Jones because I was all on board with Daniel Jones since the start, and he's just proven to me that there's something missing. He's a great kid. He's a tough kid. He's a gritty guy, but something is missing in his ability to win football games. And their performance in Giant Stadium for the home crowd has just been absolutely despicable, to be quite frank. And I know a lot of people are already talking that, if Saquon Barkley, because of the year he's having in Philadelphia, was still with the Giants, blah, blah, blah. But that goes to show that the guy always had talent. I was always a Saquon fan. And now he's got an offensive line that blocks, and he's having potentially an MVP season. It's kind of strange, but playing for the hated Eagles and the Giants, but you can't hate on the guy personally. And I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, when he came back to the Giants, they booed him. They were burning his jerseys in the parking lot. The guy did nothing but put his heart and soul into playing for the New York Giants.
Well, he never should have been drafted in the first place by Gallamasaurus because you don't draft running backs at 2. But here's the big shock for me during the here's a big shock for me with the trade deadline. What are the Cowboys thinking over there? They need a running back in the worst way, and they get some subpar receiver from the Panthers who can't even crack that rotation.
Exactly.
They need a running back, Jerry Jones, running back.
Well, he's the GM, so it all falls on him. Yeah, they get Jonathan Mingo, who has 12 catches this year. 12. Hey, listen, as a Cowboy, I'm not a big Cowboy fan. You know, my brother Steve was a big time Cowboys fan, but you're right. They went into this season with Ezekiel Elliott as your running back. I mean, really? And now they're on the hook because they paid Dak Prescott the going rate for quarterbacks. He's the highest paid quarterback right now. That'll change at some point in time. And now he's out. So the Cowboy season is done, finished, close the book.
And if you're the Panthers, you get Miles Sanders, who is a third string running back, not Jonathan Mingo.
I know.
Another comment here. This is one personally for you.
Let's see. Good morning to all. It was great to see you this past Thursday evening, honoring our friend and classmate, Matt Frasco, class of 81. And Rob, just so for a little informational purpose, the other night was the St. Joe's Presidential Gala, and he's referencing one of my former teammates, Matt Frasco, who's just done so much for St. Joe's over the course of 40 years, and he finally was honored and inducted into the St. Joe's Hall of Fame with a former baseball player, Pat Kivlahan, was also added. But, you know, it was a great evening. I got a chance to talk to Augie Hoffman, the head coach, and Mark Cieslak, the baseball coach, and it was a wonderful, wonderful evening for one of my closest friends, and it was a well-deserved honor, and it was a great turnout, and really it was a wonderful evening at the Edgewood Country Club in Rivervale. Beautiful
Very
night.
good.
Yeah, it was. All right, so Rob, Eli texted me his picks for this week. I know we're a little light on our graphics this week, but I'm kind of running away with it in our competition. We pick 4 games a week. Eli's kind of been in quite a slump lately, but it's his birthday, so I'm not gonna bash him. But he did send the picks. I got 4 games. I'm gonna give my picks. I'm gonna give Eli's picks, and I'm gonna ask you for your picks on these 4 games.
Let me get my schedule up here while you're doing that.
I got the games for us. Okay.
Okay.
All right. First one, Jets at Arizona. And even though I'm not a Kyle Murray fan at all, they do score points. He is elusive, and I think he could run circles around that Jets defense. So I'm going to take Arizona over the Jets, even though the Jets, for some strange reason, are favored. I'm going to take them. And the second game is the Bucs in San Francisco. Why is this relevant? Because now Christian McCaffrey is scheduled to play this week. He's been out all season. And I'm going to take the Bucs, though, because I don't think that's what's the only piece that's been missing for San Francisco. And I'm not a big Baker Mayfield guy, but he does seem gritty. He does seem to have control of that offense, and I'm going to take the Bucs in that game. And then there's the next game is Pittsburgh at the aforementioned Washington Commanders. And like I said, Russell Wilson's career is kind of winding down. I kind of disagreed. I thought Justin Fields played well enough to keep the job, but Tomlin thought otherwise. I'm going to take Washington over the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in the fourth game, and it's going to be kind of a good game, it's Detroit is playing Houston. And I'm going to take Houston in that game. I know everybody's on the Detroit bandwagon, and rightfully so. Goff doesn't turn the ball over. They score a lot of points, but I think they're due for a letdown. And I think the Texans and CJ Stroud are going to bounce back. So my 4 picks are Arizona, Tampa Bay, Washington, and Houston. And now Eli's picks also. Eli's going with Arizona as well. I know he's not a big fan of the Jets, but he is taking San Francisco over Tampa Bay. So we differ there. He does agree with me and is taking Washington over Pittsburgh. And, he hasn't given up on, he doesn't think Detroit is ready for a letdown. So he's taking Detroit over Houston on the road. Give us your picks on those 4 games, Rob.
I think Arizona, they're building something there small, no pun intended, because the quarterback's small.
Yeah.
And hey, they're right right now. They lead the NFC West, so this is a big game for them. It's a big stepping stone game to get relevant again, right?
And they play well at home. They do.
They play well at home. What was game 2 was?
Tampa Bay, San Francisco.
Same thing. Tampa Bay. I got Baker Mayfield on my fantasy team and Mike Evans, so I've been watching them a lot this season. They need a statement win again, like the Cardinals, to get back into the conversation, and they're very capable of doing so.
Evans is hurt though, right?
Evans is hurt, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been watching them a lot because of fantasy football and stuff. So I think the Buccaneers, like you said, the Niners, something's off this year.
It is.
And now you're bringing McCaffrey back. Something going. Not sure.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Bucks there.
Pittsburgh, Washington.
That's not a big road trip for the Steelers. I'm a Steelers fan. I was also very shocked and disappointed when they switched to Russell Wilson, but he has played well, and he's adding the element of the deep throw now. So I think that's going to be the difference in this game. I'm picking Pittsburgh, and I don't know, Detroit is on that high again, right? The Goff's throwing 80% completion rate, highest quarterback rating in history for 4 games or something or whatnot. I think the last game they played, or the game before that, where they really didn't do much, right? I think this is the game where maybe they lose because you don't expect them to. I think they're still going to the Super Bowl. In fact, I would be ecstatic if you have a Bills-Lions Super Bowl, right? Somebody has to win it. But we see with Detroit the past couple of years under Dan Campbell, they do have some of those losses that make you scratch your head. This could be one of them.
But who'd you take, Washington or Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh.
Okay, because you're a Pittsburgh guy. That's right. Yeah. And you're taking Detroit, right?
Yes. Speaking of Detroit, here's another question for you.
What's your thoughts on the Lions and how they've been playing? Listen, like I said, the career Jared Goff has had, it really is amazing. He does not turn the ball over. And I know they got this fiery coach that they're all buying into his philosophy, and he's aggressive. He goes for 4th down probably more than any other coach in the league, but they win football games. They are the real deal. And this kid, St. Brown, is I told you I had an opportunity to watch that Receivers documentary on, I think it was either Netflix or something, and he's a good kid. And I'm delighted. I'm happy because of the way they used to bash Jared Goff. I think it's great that he's in there, and they do have a legitimate shot in the NFC to go to the Super Bowl without question. And Rob,
real quick, Jared Goff though, what a story that is in itself. He came out early in the draft, right? Was he a number 1 pick? Or he was definitely 1st round pick, right?
He was the number 1 overall pick. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Goes to the Super Bowl and he loses. So the team wants to get rid of him at that point. So he's a throw-in so they can get Stafford. Yep. It turns out, hey, you know what? I'm not a bad quarterback, people. And he made himself into this MVP candidate. Great story.
I love it. And the city has embraced him. He's a really humble, just a great kid. I'm delighted for this kid. I love it, man. I do. I really do. And Rob, one other quick thing before we move off the NFL is, I know you mentioned you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I was just, up early. And I watched this little half-hour documentary on Rocky Blyer. I mean, you can't help but, and I certainly remember Rocky Blyer as a player, and just a classy, awesome guy, and the whole story, the Vietnam vet, and he came back and pivotal. Just when I see this stuff, that's the fact that I've been on this earth for so many years, I've had an opportunity to see all these guys. And, like guys like Eli, I didn't get a chance to see Rocky Blyer, but it's a great little special. It's only a half hour. I think it's on that, they call it the SC featured, it's kind of like a program on ESPN. Highly recommend it. I love stuff like that. All right, well, we covered that pretty good. So, Rob, let's move on. As we start to wind down and get to the end of the college football, you know what that means. It's college basketball season gets started. And I think I want to bring this up because there was, I guess I would call it an upset. Michigan State only beat Niagara by 40 points. So I'm joking, obviously, but Michigan State, I don't even know if they're ranked in the top 25, which is very, very unusual. But college football, and how about this kid? The number one rated college basketball player, and he's just a freshman, is this kid Cooper Flagg from Duke. And he didn't disappoint in his first game. He looked like every bit one of the top players in the country already. So I'm excited about college hoops. There was one disturbing little thing that I just saw today, and obviously this guy will be fired by the end of the week. The Florida coach Todd Golden, he's got all of these sexual harassment and stalking charges against him. I mean, you're the head basketball coach at a very prominent basketball school, and you think this is all going to fly under the radar? I mean, how stupid can you be? How stupid can you be? It just drives me crazy. We see it time and time and time again with these prominent sports figures doing things that are just, if you want to be in the limelight, you have to be, you're going to be under the microscope, and you got your hand in the cookie jar. Expect him to be fired within the week. No question about that.
Well, it comes down to something we both learned in high school, Jim. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. When you have that kind of power, you think you're above the law.
Yeah.
And again, get back to Cooper Flagg. I'm a big Brooklyn Nets fan, and we're supposed to be tanking for this kid. But yeah, we're playing pretty good basketball in the Nets to start off with. We're 4-5. We should have beaten the Celtics last night.
Yep.
But you'd think we should be tanking, and they're actually playing pretty well. Go figure.
That's kind of a surprise. I mean, I'm not a big NBA guy, but yeah, I think the Nets do have this kid. Cam Thomas is certainly a player, no question about it.
Yeah. So it's shocking. Now,
and there was also.
Yeah. Go on. No, go on.
No, I was just saying. Everybody, has written off the Nets because they were all in on the Harden, the Durant, and all that, and that blew up in their face. But they got a lot of draft picks out of this, so they're a team that's going to be on the horizon as probably a decent team down the road. And they're going to have to beat the new look Nets, the new look Knicks with Towns and so forth, getting rid of DiVincenzo and JR. We question is the thoughts on Michigan college basketball. That's hard to say because of this whole nil portal, and then when Juwan Howard was let go, they're kind of in rebuild mode. So I don't expect them to be a top 10 team this season at all. But they got to get rid of that stink. I tell you, when I hear about Michigan, in the basketball program and the disaster that Jim Harbaugh left for that school on the football side, this is Bo Schembechler and these guys must be rolling over in their graves to see what's happened to Michigan. It's terrible to see. anyway, so yeah, and then one of the other big games, and you love to see Kansas played North Carolina last night. I think Kansas edged North Carolina, but that's one of those college basketball rivalry games that you love to see. Both of them have multiple national championships, and college basketball is exciting, and it's just the start. So we got a long way to go, but I'm excited.
Long way to go until it's Big East tournament time in March. That's 4 months away.
Yeah. And by the way, Rob, we mentioned it last week that was Eli was at Big East Basketball Media Day at Madison Square Garden. He did a great job interviewing some players and so forth, and that was exciting for him. So
Jim, what do you think the chances of UConn three-peat?
It's kind of tough, obviously, to three-peat, but they have this new kid. I can't remember his name, but he's a true freshman. Dropped a lot of points the other night. So Dan Hurley, which I always talked about when they were interviewing him for the Lakers job, I said, there is no way in hell he's going to go to Los Angeles and be second fiddle to LeBron James, who gets his kid to play in the league, and he doesn't deserve. You and I could be on an NBA roster if Bronny James could be on an NBA roster. So,
let me finally. I haven't said this on your show yet. I've said it several times, and I'll be back on the air next week with my stuff. Bronny James is taking the spot of some college player who deserved to be there.
I've said this all along, Rob.
Who scored 20-some points a game last year in college or the year before that, has the skill set, has the maturity to be in the NBA. But that one spot he's taken is taken by Bronny James and his 3 points a year last year.
Rob, why? I couldn't agree more, and I've said this all along. He's taking a spot of somebody that actually deserves it. But this keeps going on to the point where LeBron James is the commissioner. He's the owner of the Lakers. He's the head coach of the Lakers, and that's what he wanted. End of story. Really. I'm glad you brought that up because I couldn't agree more with you.
The only silver lining of all this is the memes that come out about Bronny James are hilarious. Like, oh, man, look at Bronny James had a career night last night. He scored 2.
2, right. And it's not that we're uninformed. I mean, both of you and I went out of our way to watch him play at USC and see, does this guy have that talent that his father had? And the answer was a flat out no. And in the NBA draft, there's only 2 rounds now. And I told everybody, somebody says maybe somebody else will draft LeBron James's son. And there was a law that was a mandate that came down from James, said, nobody touch him. He's coming to the Lakers, and I want to play with him like Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Sr. and Gordie Howe and Mark and Marty Howe, who were still viable players at that time. This was just an absolute joke.
And if it wasn't for that mandate, he never would have been drafted in the second round.
Exactly. But he was hands off. Nobody could even talk to him because LeBron James wanted that moment where he played with his son. And I can't believe you brought it up because I've been saying that outside of the show all along. Okay, Rob, let's move on. The NBA, like I said, a couple of surprises. The Cleveland Cavaliers won again last night. They're 10-0 now. And the other surprise is the Milwaukee Bucks. So, they're like 2-7 now. They lost last night to the Knicks.
Listen, they fired a Seton Hall guy with a 30-11 record, I believe. I could be off a game or two. And Adrian Griffin to bring Doc Rivers in to suck ASS. Why? Hey, well, by the way, Jim, real quick. Speaking of my Brooklyn Nets, there's some whispers now that Giannis wants to come to Brooklyn. There's some whispers now. Oh, baby, let's go.
I'm hearing the whispers. I'm hearing the whispers too.
Oh, baby. Let's go.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think they'll probably fire Doc Rivers in the next couple of weeks. And then,
You fire a Doc. You don't fire a Doc Rivers. That's the thing.
5 other teams have fired him for some reason.
By the way, you're a big TV guy, right?
Yep.
Did you watch that little series called Clipped?
No.
I watched that. It was very entertaining. It was about that whole Donald Sterling era where he was, being the racist and Doc Rivers was the coach. It's on Hulu. You'd enjoy it.
Okay. That's a good recommendation.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, that guy Sterling was an absolute slob.
And O'Neal plays him in the show. It's great.
Yeah. Okay, good. So yeah, those are the 2 big surprises right now. I think.
Early, yeah. It's so NBA does not start until Christmas Day.
That's right. I know that. That's why people were getting up, a little nervous that the Knicks started off 3-4. The Knicks will be fine. They got Brunson. He knows what he's doing. They're going to win games. But I still think the Boston Celtics are the team to beat, certainly in the East. But we're going to find out sooner than later. And just we'll touch base real quick on the NHL and, the Winnipeg Jets. Nobody knows anything about the Winnipeg Jets. Nobody ever sees the Winnipeg Jets play unless you live in Winnipeg. But they've won 12 of their first 13 games. So that's never been done before. That's pretty cool to see. So
and no one knows about it.
Right. But my Rangers are starting off very, very hot. But again, winning the President's Cup as the best record in the NHL doesn't get you a Stanley Cup, and the Panthers are the team to knock off, and but the Rangers are off to a good start, so that's good news for New York fans. Anyway, all right, Rob, we covered some stuff, so I got a couple of random points, as you recall from days past when you've been co-hosting the show. So the big thing with now that baseball season's over, right? And already the talk is, will Aaron Boone be back? Well, yeah, Aaron Boone will be back. And when you look, though, I know, listen, baseball is such a long season. And it's sponsored, of course, by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut, our random points. Yes. But in this instance, though, I looked at his numbers. He's 603 wins and 429 losses. And in a long season, with injuries, you have to do this. And yes, all managers, not just Aaron Boone, has made questionable moves at times during the season. But, he's not the problem. He's not the guy who didn't perform in the World Series. It was guys like Judge, and Soto cooled off a little bit and against the Dodgers. So he's coming back. And, it'll immediately start, if they get off to a slow start next year, that Aaron Boone should have been fired. But his record speaks for itself. He's won over 100 games twice, and he's only won less than 90 games one time. I mean, come on.
I get 100 wins out of that team.
I don't know.
How do you explain that 5th inning with all those errors? Someone's got to be the fall guy for that. Someone's going to take the fall.
Yeah, but you can't blame Aaron Boone for Aaron Judge dropping an easy fly ball. You can't blame Aaron Boone for Garrett Cole not covering first base.
But you can blame Aaron Boone for the first game, putting in Nestor Cortez in a situation where he hasn't pitched in a month.
That's one of the questionable decisions where the people that say he's got to go may have a point there. But it's a long, long season. That was definitely a questionable decision. But you know what? 603 and 429. Give me another manager in baseball that has that kind of winning percentage. And yes, they have Judge and they have Stanton, but Stanton doesn't produce during the regular season. You get Verdugo and he hits 220, and Torres is a lazy guy and his days in New York are numbered. But also, from a random point perspective, Garrett Cole will be back. This was kind of a strange situation where
he opts out.
opts out.
But then
Then
it comes back to the same thing.
Yeah, and he opts back in for the final year of the mega contract at the time. We'll see how that goes.
Very odd.
But anyway,
Jim, real quick.
Yep.
On the Yankees, does Soto return?
I think the answer is yes. I think he's going to get a bigger offer from Steve Cohen in the Mets, but I think he likes playing with Aaron Judge, and that's one of the best 1-2 punches in baseball. He's already got a ring. So if he is, and I talked about this last week, if he is all about the money, and if the Yankees offer him $500 million and Cohen offers him $600 million and he's about the money, yeah, he's going to take it. But I think he loves this playing in Yankee Stadium. He loves wearing the pinstripes, loves playing with Aaron Judge. My initial thought is he's going to be back with the Yankees.
Have you heard this? I've heard if Soto signs with the Mets, Yankees sign Alonso.
Yeah, I know. I'm hearing that too. I mean, Alonso's a decent player, but he's a 230, 240 hitter, and he hits a lot of home runs. I don't know. Is that the replacement for Rizzo, Alonso? And can the Mets not sign both Soto and Alonso? Alonso's not going to get the money he thinks he's going to get. I mean,
he had a bad year.
Yeah.
Overall, I mean,
but I think the way he performed in the playoffs for the Mets is going to go a long way to. I think he's going to re-sign with the Mets. I do. I think he's going to re-sign with them. And anyway, one other quick random point, because I brought this guy up, and it's the NBA and this guy, Joel Embiid. And this guy, he doesn't play. He's always hurt, and he always badmouths the fans, and now he shoves a reporter, and the guy is making like almost $70 million a season. They are never going to win an NBA title with him as the focal point because he just doesn't play enough.
Were they 1-9 or something? Sixers? I love it.
I don't think
I've been in pro locker rooms. I would love to have been a fly on the wall there because I would love to have seen what the other players did.
Yeah.
You can't really disrespect the media, but you also want to back your guy up too. So I don't know,
Yeah, but there were other reporters that saw this incident,
Yeah.
Not that, you be in the locker room. Believe me, Joel Embiid is not going to push Rob Gigante across into the wall, It probably had to be some reporter who was 5'3" or something, because that's kind of bully that he is. So
yeah, exactly.
Anyway, I don't know, Rob, if we have if you have any other random points to add, or we could move on to my movie recommendation for the week.
Real quick, I want your guy here asked a question. I want to respond to this. I read that.
Giannis is not going to come to Brooklyn. He wants to win an NBA championship, and the best opportunity for him to do that is with the Golden State Warriors.
JR, let me start this. JR, you got to look at the plethora of draft picks the Nets have right now. They are set for, I want to say set for life, but after this season, they are set to do whatever they want. They have the money to sign Giannis and then add whoever they want next to him with the core they have already. Golden State, Curry is going to be gone in 2-3 years tops. He's going to retire.
Yep.
Giannis is young enough to come to Brooklyn and win a championship and still be in his prime. That's the difference.
Is he, Rob? He's been around for a while. Is he? Do you think he's still?
I think he still has. He's still right in that.
Okay.
Sweet spot right now.
Okay. Fair enough. But JR, thanks for the comments and questions. I really do appreciate it. And as always, you can comment on the show or send us an email at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com. All right, Rob. So we kind of changed the narrative a little bit and lighten it up with some entertainment. So I always do a movie recommendation. And this week it's Cool Hand Luke. I know you've seen Cool Hand Luke with Paul Newman, right?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Oh, it's great. It's great. So that's my Monahan movie recommendation of the week. Eli usually gives us a game show, but I usually do a movie. We used to do books too, but anyway, if you haven't seen it, anything with Paul Newman is 2 thumbs up for me. I don't know. Do you have the pictures that I sent Eli, Rob?
You never sent them to me.
Yeah, all right.
What are they? Unless they're on here. What are they?
I had a couple of pictures because I was at the Buffalo Bills game last weekend up in Buffalo. Yeah, there it is. So, you know what? I really like that stadium. And guess what? They're knocking it down. So the new stadium is right next to it. And I think those are my college buddies. So we went up to see the Buffalo Bills. And right up the street, there it is, my old stomping grounds from Niagara University, Niagara Falls. Isn't that a pretty picture?
Nice, very nice.
It is nice, yeah.
How's the Buffalo crowd? I heard they're awesome fans.
They were. It was absolutely just a great experience. And, it was always rolling the dice going, we're going to go to a Bills game in November. You never know. It could be 8 feet of snow. But it turned out to be a beautiful fall day, and it was great time. Great stadium. I like it.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was. Okay, and just real quick, some notable passings. There was really only 2 this week that I wanted to mention. One was Quincy Jones, obviously the music producer, and he was behind the whole "We Are the World" thing, and with Michael Jackson and all that kind of stuff. You can't deny the guy was just a mogul in the music business for many, many years, and he was 91 years old. And the last one I had, just because we've all been to this store. There's not one person on the planet that hasn't walked into a Home Depot. And Bernie Marcus, one of the original founders of Home Depot, 95 years old, he passed away. And Rob, just like I really do appreciate you jumping in here and
I'm only joking. I was up early this morning. But I legitimately, I'm not set up for live yet. I'm redoing my garage to be a little studio, a little hangout. You're welcome to come down, do a live show. So okay. I was like, all right, I'm missing something. And here I got it. I figured it out.
Yeah, we got through it very good. We covered a lot of stuff. And again, before we sign off, I just wanted to bring up again that, Monday is Veterans Day. And, from day one, the way we feel about our servicemen and women and honor them. I have a World War II veteran who lives right next door to me. And, if you see somebody, shake their hand and say thank you, because they're the reason we enjoy the freedoms we do today.
Absolutely.
So, Rob, thanks.
And also a big thing that people don't realize too, Memorial Day is for those soldiers who have passed on, while Veterans Day is for those who are still here with us.
Yeah,
I think that gets lost in the shuffle sometimes in the holidays structure.
Yeah, it sure doesn't get lost to the Sports with Mono and Mono community. Great point, though. Great point. Rob, thanks again for joining us. And
anytime.
Good luck with you and your endeavors down the road. And Eli and I will be back next week. I think we're going to be back at regular time, 10 o'clock. We did enjoy our Friday Night Lights couple of episodes we did. We had got some good feedback. That was fun. But Rob, thanks for joining us, and
anytime,
have a good weekend, my friend.
You too. Thanks.